Welcome back, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into uh, The Pragmatic Optimist by Dr.
Ooh.
Daniel Monehin.
Yeah, this one.
Have you had a chance to look at this one?
I have, and you know what really struck me right off the bat was
What's that?
just how much research went into this.
Oh, yeah.
Over 400 publications and books.
Wow.
Like, that's got to be one of the most researched business books out there.
It's not just like a self-help.
No, this is like serious stuff.
Like, he's really trying to make a case here.
Absolutely.
And, it's interesting, too, because he seems to be talking to a really wide audience.
Yeah.
From like top executives all the way down to
Frontline folks.
frontline staff.
Yeah.
So it's clearly like this crisis stuff is something that we all have to deal with.
At some point or another, right?
Yeah, no matter where you are in your career.
Exactly.
So one of the things that really jumped out at me in the introduction was just how, he's clearly writing this from experience. Like he's
been in the trenches.
Yeah, he's seen good leaders just get completely derailed.
Totally.
By the unexpected.
Yeah, and you can almost feel the frustration.
I know he even uses the term weak-kneed leadership.
Oh, I love that term.
Which I think...
It's so vivid.
Yeah, it paints a pretty vivid picture.
It does.
But it also makes you think, like, how many of us are really prepared to lead when the pressure is on?
When that, hits the fan.
Because according to Dr. Monehin, most of us just aren't.
No, and that's one of the reasons he wrote this book.
Yeah, he actually lays out 3 reasons in the introduction, right?
He does.
So what are those reasons?
Well, the first one's kind of what we've been talking about already. You know,
Wow.
seeing these competent leaders just crumble when things get tough.
Okay.
The second reason is that crises are incredibly common.
Okay.
He estimates that 80% of the people he's encountered are either currently dealing with a crisis or have just come out of one.
80%.
Oh.
I know, it's a huge number.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is. It's a staggering statistic, and I think it really underscores that this isn't some niche topic,
This is something...
This is like a universal experience.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone's going to face a crisis at some point in their life, so we better figure out how to deal with it, right?
Yeah, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Exactly.
Right.
So the third reason he gives is actually the most concerning, I think.
What's that?
He argues that most leaders are just not equipped to handle crises effectively.
They're just not ready.
They don't have the tools or the training or even like the mindset.
Oh, so it's more than just like...
It's a deeper issue.
Skills and knowledge. It's really like a fundamental...
It's like a way of being.
Yeah.
A way of approaching the world.
Okay, so that's a pretty big claim.
It is.
And I think that's what makes this book so important and this conversation that we're having.
Absolutely, because if most of us aren't being given the tools to deal with these inevitable situations, then we need to go out and find those tools ourselves.
Well,
we need to figure out how to equip ourselves for those tough times.
and
I think that's really what Dr. Monehin is trying to do here.
So he's providing us with a new framework.
Yes, a new lens to look through.
To view crises and approach them differently.
Exactly. And it all starts with this idea of the pragmatic optimist.
Okay, so what exactly does that mean?
Well, that's a great question, and I think that's something we'll dive into in a little bit more detail. But before we do that, I think it's important to understand how he defines a crisis.
Okay, so how does he differentiate a crisis from, say, just a regular everyday challenge?
Oh, he uses this really interesting analogy. He compares issues to geysers and crises to volcanoes.
I like that.
It's a powerful image, right?
Yeah, geysers, they're impressive, but they're predictable.
Right.
When and where they're going to erupt.
Exactly.
And their impact is relatively contained.
Yeah, you can kind of plan around them.
Yeah, kind of like those issues that we face in our work or our personal lives.
They're annoying.
They're annoying, they pop up.
But ultimately manageable.
Yeah, manageable.
Right.
But a volcano.
That's a whole different ballgame.
That's a different story.
Yeah, volcanoes are unpredictable.
Powerful.
They can literally reshape the entire landscape.
And that's how Dr. Monehin sees a crisis.
It's that volcano.
Yeah, it's that major disruption that demands our attention.
And has the potential to cause some serious damage.
If it's not handled correctly.
Yeah, if we don't respond in the right way.
And he argues that the way that we respond to these volcano moments reveals our true leadership capabilities.
Because it's not just about having the right skills or the right knowledge.
It's about something deeper, right?
It's about mindset. It's about who we are at our core.
Okay, so that's where the pragmatic optimist comes in.
Yes, that's the foundation.
Okay, so I'm really interested to learn more about what exactly that means, this pragmatic optimist.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dive deeper into that in just a moment. But I
Okay.
think for now, it's important to just lay this groundwork, to understand the context that Dr. Monin is working with,
Right.
that crises are inevitable, that
Hmm.
most of us aren't prepared,
Yeah.
and that it's our mindset that ultimately determines how we'll respond.
Okay, so this pragmatic optimist, this is the key to navigating those turbulent times.
That's what he's arguing.
Okay, so how do we cultivate this mindset?
Great question. And that's something we'll get into more detail on in the next part of this deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. I'm intrigued.
Me too, me too.
I'm really starting to see how powerful this concept could be.
It's definitely thought-provoking, for sure.
So, listener, as we wrap up this first part,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
How do you typically respond to challenges
It's a question.
when that volcano erupts in your life?
Are you running for the hills or are you grabbing your toolkit?
And how might a more pragmatic, optimistic approach help you navigate those difficult times?
Something to think about, for sure.
Yeah, something to ponder until we come back for part 2 of this deep dive.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you then.
See you then.